how I pick the music, if that's the question, is for years I bought music, and but what happened is that the music is pretty limited, and with the video production going now, what frustrated me about it is I would pick a unique song, and then I would hear that song in a commercial. I would hear that song in somebody else's production, and it irritates me beyond belief. And so what I did is the last couple of years, I just started producing all my own music. And then that way it's original to Keys Outdoors, and I'm never going to hear it but on Keys Outdoors. And to me, that was really important. And what I pick for music is I feel that there's certain moods in a video that, when I put a video together that I want to portray. I want the quietness, I want the subtleness of nature. But then at times, you want, an uplifting song, if you will, to show that, you were successful. And, so it's all reading what you're trying to look for. And what I do now is I just, it's all done by computer. You can buy the loops, and then I listen to loops to get the feel that I want, and then I just add on everything else, the bass, the guitars, whatever else onto it.
Oh, you play? Or was that...
No, I don't play. I purchase the loops.
Okay.
And then what you can do is through the system, you can manipulate tempo, everything else, and timing, everything. And so it's amazing on what you can do nowadays with the software that's out there.
Wow.
And so that's basically how I put everything together. Is it starts with a loop. And then from there, it just builds. Drums, I have a library of drums that I've purchased, but they're just loops.
Yeah.
And so then it's, it takes many, many hours.
I believe it, yeah.
It really does. But I enjoy that part of it because, yes, I do play. I'm a drummer. So I music, my brother, was a state drummer in band, and a great acoustic guitar player. So music does run in our family that way. But, and he's played in bands. I never have. But, and I'm self-taught. I can't read a note or anything like that. But I guarantee you start laying something down, I'll stay with it.
Yeah, no, I can tell from the show. Here's the next question. What kind of music do you like to listen to in the car on Musky trips?
I believe it or not, I love the indie stuff. I love new music, not the pop so much, but the newer indie style music, if you will. I don't know, man, it's something the way I'm wired or something, but all the old tunes and stuff from when I grew up, I don't want to hear them no more.
Oh, cool.
And I had a great teenage years, but it's like, I'm always listening for new. What's new? You know what I mean? Without being, I'm not bubblegum by any means or anything like that, but new, and it can be heavy metal. It can be, but new. I want to hear new.
Nice. And how did you first get into musky fishing?
Well, it's a long story. It is. It's, I started out, in the hunting industry. And I've been a tinker my whole life, and I developed a couple products that, thought of and took to market for the hunting, and ended up with 7 patents, and did really well in the hunting industry.
Wow.
So, and then what happened is I seen that whole industry, like everything else in the world, get eaten up by money. And what I meant by that what I mean by that is when I was growing up, there was like 5 people in the whole world that ever shot a Boone and Crockett buck with a bow and arrow. So it was quite a feat. And then what happened is rich people came in and said to the farmer, who before, if you wanted to hunt their land, you had to help them bale hay, you had to, whatever, bring them beer, whatever, that, but it was on a person-to-person relationship. And then what happened is I watched them come in and they said, hey, I'll pay your taxes. Wow. So then what they did was, okay, I get it. Okay, you want to lease this land. The guy's got 400 acres, whatever. You lease it. That's cool. But then what they did is they started managing it, growing crops that grow bigger animals, growing. So my question became, are you a hunter or are you a farmer? Because you're farming these deer. And the reason why I gravitated towards Musky is because I don't care how much money you have, you can't own that lake. It's open to everybody.
Right.
And because it's open to everybody, at the end of the day, now your hunting and fishing skills are tested.
Right.
Because everybody's got a fair shot now. Now it comes to who is the better angler. And I like that end of it, where now there's probably, in the hunting industry, there's probably 5,000, if not more, people that have shot Boone and Crockett bucks, but they're raised. It's no different than me having money in raising a world record fish in a pond that no one can fish but me, and then feeding it, and then one day just saying, hey, that fish is over world record now. I'm going to kill it and be the next world record holder. I don't think that's fair chase.
How long does it usually take to film one episode? I'm sure there's so much more than just, the days that you're there, or just there's so much.
We usually give ourselves, depending if we're going out of state, going far away, then we give ourselves up to 7 days. But typically our shoots are anywhere from 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
That's time on the water. And then once we get all the footage together, and if we've had a successful outing, then you probably have another, I don't know, probably 70, 80 hours of between editing and downloading. These files are huge.
Yeah,
I mean, we're shooting on 4K, everything, and they're raw, and they're huge. So it takes, believe it or not, when I get back from a shoot, it may take a whole day just to download the footage.
Wow. So then that kind of leads into the next question of how long it takes to edit, which is, I think you kind of...
Yeah, I would say anywhere from 40 to 60 hours on average.
Wow. Now, you can tell from all the shots you do. I've done some editing on music videos of my own stuff, but I just know the time you put into that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and we're running, 8 different camera angles at all times. So it's keeping everything in time, and, in sync, and knowing what footage goes where. And so, yeah, but I've been doing it for 22 years. So and self-taught. Now, how I actually became a TV guy is the story goes, is that a guy came to me because I was telling you I was successful in hunting. I started filming a lot of my hunts because I wanted to show the public, because back then there was no internet. So the only way that you could get your product out was trade shows, which were huge at that time. Trade shows, television, radio, or newsprint. That was it. So what I did is, because I made product, I went to a lot of trade shows. I ran the whole trade show circuit. I started filming my own hunts to show people my product in use in the kill, in what it was meant to do. So I accumulated a small library of really cool deer kills and stuff like that. And a buddy came to me and said, at that time, he came to me and he said, listen, I want to start a TV show called Midwest Adventures, and I want to air it on Fox Midwest. And he said, but we need to put a pilot together. He said, Mike, can I use some of your footage? And I said, absolutely. And so I gave him all my footage, and he submitted the pilot, and Fox said, we want your show. So he came back to me and he says, Mike, he said, they accepted. I said, great. And he says, dude, because I was self-employed, he's like, why don't we go to Canada? He says, I'll pay for the trip. You film me killing a bear, and I'll film you killing a bear. And we'll have that as the first episode of Midwest Adventures. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I run up there, and I get him shooting a 450-pound cinnamon bear. Beautiful. I mean, just the footage was amazing. Now, granted, back then the cameras weren't great, but, you know, it was what it was. And so it's now my turn to hunt, and he, you know, at the cabin, at the lodge that night, he says to me, he goes, Mike, he goes, you know, I'm just starting up this business. He says, I really don't have the money to go ahead and pay for your hunt. And because I'm a businessman and I know what it is to start a business, I said to him, I said, great, that's cool. Get me on the rebound, you know? So we get back, and we've got his bear with him. We drive back. We get into Milwaukee, and he's got the bear in the back. He drives up to a taxidermist, and he whips out the bear and pays the guy my hunt in cash.
Wow.
So he had my hunt, but he thought that the mounted bear was a much better deal after I gave up a whole 2 weeks of hunting up there. So I was very upset with that, and he called me back about a week later, and he says, hey, Mike, he says, I got to get that footage. And I said, Greg, what footage? And he says, the footage of the bear. And I says, dude, I says, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, my footage. And I says, no, Greg, it's not your footage. I said, you told me that if you went up there, you would pay for my hunt. I filmed you. You didn't live up to your end of the deal. I said, so that footage is my footage. It was shot on my cameras, and I ended up paying my own way up there.
Wow.
And so he then came down on me with a lawyer.
Oh, my God.
And, a lawyer called me and said, you know, hey, and you know, and listen, I'm a pretty seasoned businessman. And I, you know, said to the lawyer, I said, well, if that's his product or, you know, his video, then he's never sent me any of the tax information. Well, now they're, you know, how do you argue that? So the lawyer was like, hey, dude, here's your, you know, I tried to scare the guy, didn't scare him. So Greg called me back up, and we talked about it and stuff, and he was just being a complete jerk about it and didn't understand my point. And just being a smart ass, I said to him, I said, listen, I said, he goes, Mike, what are you going to do with the footage? I said, I don't know, Greg. Maybe I will start my own TV show. And he started laughing. He says, you don't have what it takes to do that.
Oh, wow.
I literally took the phone, slammed it down. It was a landline phone. I slammed it down, looked at my wife, and said, honey, we're going into the TV business.
Wow.
And that's how it all started in TV.
Wow.
And I ran that bear kill on the opening of that show for a whole year.
Wow, that's an incredible story, man. Incredible.
Yeah, that was never intended to go into TV.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges you face, like, while I'm assuming so much potentially can go wrong when you're filming, you know, like these the Musky episodes?
God, there's a ton, because you're in the elements. Rain is, in pouring rain, you can't film. It's useless. So weather is a big issue. It's, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot going on, you know, and so weather is probably the biggest issue that we really try to pay attention to. And if it gets too bad, you just can't film. The equipment is so expensive and stuff. I mean, so weather is really the biggest thing that we worry about. And then, you know, weather, again, it's how big are the waves because of the weather. You know, you don't want to put yourself in, you know, a bad position at any time, but also, lightning. Mm-hmm. So lightning is anybody who's out on the water should mm-hmm. be very concerned with lightning. Mm-hmm. And we don't push it. We just don't.
Do you have a favorite episode you have done? And if so, why? Why is it a favorite? Tough question, I know.
Yeah, no, I don't. Okay. I don't have a favorite because I don't feel that I've made my best work yet.
Gotcha. That's a great answer.
And I truly believe that. I'm my worst critic. Mm-hmm. After I watch a show, and because it's like when you do your music.
Right.
You're in there for, every chord so many times that, and so, it's, yeah, I mean, I watch them because, I have to see technically that they go all right and mm-hmm. stuff. Mm-hmm. But I haven't made that piece yet mm-hmm. that I just sit back and say, okay, that was my goal from day one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And what feelings do you get from catching muskie, and what makes them so exciting?
I think it's not really the catching. The catching is great, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. but I feel that it's more of in our industry right now is going to be going through this in the next 10 years, and mm-hmm. it's going to decide the fate of musky fishing because mm-hmm. right now they have graphs that are out right now that literally they're called live scopes, mm-hmm. which you can point them and you can literally see the fish
right
in live time. And so now what has happened because of this in the tournament world, which I fish, mm-hmm. Guys aren't fishing no more. Mm-hmm. They're driving around looking for fish. Mm-hmm. And then when they find the fish, they're throwing at it. Mm-hmm. And to me, musky fishing is like chess. It's putting the piece. It's going to a new body of water that you've never been before, mm-hmm. and looking at the features and saying, these are the spots that I think they're going to be, and then putting the time to go do it mm-hmm. and see if your theory, if your reasoning, if you will, mm-hmm. was right on. To me, it's about chess. Mm-hmm. It's about the whole process of finding a fish. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I feel that our industry is going to be tried very heavily in where it goes in the next couple of years because of this new technology.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I've never heard it set chess. That's genius, man. That chess analogy. I love that. That's so good.
Well, it is. Yeah. It's to me. So then, when you catch the fish, that's why people go, Mike. Why do you get so wild, dude, on catching a 38-inch fish? Mm-hmm. And it's because I put all of the pieces in the puzzle to give me the opportunity to get that bite. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the real pride.
Right.
Catching it only takes a minute. Trust me. I know what. I don't care how hard they fight, nothing ever lasts over a minute and a half in mm-hmm. the world of musky mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. before it's in the net.
Right. Gotcha. And then my last question for you is, what's next for you? Or I guess, what else do you want to accomplish out of, already have done so much?
No, I still got a lot. My daughter is now, in the business with me. Mm-hmm. She does a lot of the editing. Mm-hmm. And my next goal is to, I would be, I've got 10 grandkids. I would love someday for, I would like very much, I would be very happy long after I'm gone knowing that it went on to a second or third generation of my family. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like cool. The Lenders.
Yeah.
3 generations.
Wow.
That's a dynasty. That's cool. When you can produce that many shows and be on air for that long. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That to me is, success.
Yeah.
Lines in the water, reel in the bait. Big Musky follows a figure 8. Nothing seems to strike. Change the color, change the shape. Walleye pattern to Concord grape. You might get lucky. No fish all day. We'll give you the blues. No fish all day. We'll give you the blues. Bodies boiling from the heat. 10,000 casts within this week. No prime time slime. There's pain in your shoulders, your back is hurting. Your legs on fire, everything's burning. Need some ice cold beer. No fish all day. We'll give you the blues. No fish all day. We'll give you the blues. No fish all day. We'll give you the blues.